Hello everyone, I'm going to slightly apologise for the lighting in this video, for a start. Secondly, welcome, this is the third and final, for now at least, A-level history revision guiding video. So I've done how to revise A-level history, how to answer the 10 marker, the 20 marker, now the 25 marker. Everything I'm covering, of course, I've done Russia 1894, 1941, shooters, early shooters 8 and 1485 to 1558. Now on the third command, I do Y319, the non-British study and depth study. Y319 for me, civil rights in the USA, 1865-1992, looking at Black African Americans, Native Americans, trade unions, and women. And all the links to all my past A-level revision videos and my GCSE revision videos will be put up at the end of the video. And you can also find them on my history playlist, so feel free to check them out. These are the books I recommend you get. I'll put these to the side now so I can show you my answer to the 25 marker. So 25 marker is effectively what you need is a nice big amount of writing. That's the stupidest explanation I've done in my life. It's effectively, it's quite hard to answer the Y319 papers. I'm going to show you the mark scheme afterwards. It's quite complex and detailed what it wants and how they want to analyse you the question. When it comes to 319, it's very much a thematic way of doing it, not necessarily all chronological, although either way it can work sometimes in your exam question. You want your introduction, your conclusion, and your 3 paragraphs in between. Could possibly do a fourth, but again, you only got 2 hours to 8 minutes in the exam, so you are limited with the time. Not to mention you've got the 30 marker and another 25 marker to do on top of this one. So the question says, quality of African American leadership was the most important factor in the environment of African American civil rights in the period from 1865 to 1992. So luckily you can also talk about the entire period of the course, so it's absolutely up to you. We're going to talk about, I mainly focus on Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rodolphin, Plessy versus Ferguson, Brown versus Board of Education, the role of federal state government, and the Rosa Parks, which I'll show you my answer now. When assessing the most important factor in the development of African American civil rights, certainly equality, methods, and effectiveness of African American leadership is the main way this was achieved, mainly because it encouraged progress and sympathy for the equal rights cause. A key idea that helped the advancement or movement was black power emerging as early as the 1950s, which revolved around the idea that black African Americans should gain civil rights by any means possible and see themselves worthy of power and leadership. One black power individual was Malcolm X, prompted ideas of strikes, protests, and bus boycotting, particularly in southern states, as this is where the de facto segregation was worst. Malcolm X advanced their civil rights as ultimately it became impossible to ignore that the amount of discrimination they faced at work or in day-to-day life was unacceptable, not to mention all the striking damaged USA economy. Another radical, Rodolphin, during the 1930s-1940s organised labour protests, and in 1941 pressured the USA government to desegregate war production industries, of course in the Second World War that is. Rodolphin believed in Gandhi's approach of non-violence and non-cooperation. He is often remarked as being the first to make sufficient progress. Even so, his acts of leadership portrayed quality of black leadership was progressing civil rights faster than any government decision. Third, quality of African leadership can also be clearly considered as an important factor in this is my second paragraph, by the way. Advancement of civil rights, particularly on individual acts of bravery or defiance. For instance, in Alabama state, bus segregation had occurred for decades, and often black people had to give up their seat to white passengers. As a result, Montgomery bus boycotting started to white passengers. Do apologise. As a result, the Montgomery bus boycott started to increase sympathy for black people to get basic rights of freedom on buses and show just how terrible it was for them. A good character in quality leadership was Rosa Parks, who in 1935 was told by white bus driver James Blake to give up seat for white passengers. But she refused and was arrested. Although this didn't immediately improve the condition of African Americans, it did show African Americans were treated poorly on public transport in de facto segregation. This also coupled with leadership acts like Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, later leading to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, only for him to be assassinated in 1968, ultimately demonstrated to all Americans that despite the Cold War occurring and USA trying to appear fair and democratic, it simply wasn't, and beatings, lynchings, and de facto segregation was commonplace. So the main factor to better their position would be individual acts of African American leadership, and pure courage to defy the system in place, and empathy would cause advancement in civil rights. Third paragraph, this is where I like to contradict the answer to properly analyse and weigh up your conclusions. Alternatively, it could be said that the real reason so much progress was made was because war and court cases was the main factor in the development of African American civil rights, as it could be viewed as more significant and easier to make change with. The acts of African American leadership, since they were being discriminated against, the impact and consequence of both world wars ultimately encouraged African Americans to be treated fairly due to their efforts and acts of heroism, like the Harlem Hellfighters, the First World War, that is, who served in the French Legion, not the American one. But context for you. Indeed, the USA government did implement some reform. After World War II, Harry S. Truman in 1948 desegregated USA military, along with awarding them with military medals, the black people, that is, who show bravery in the army. Furthermore, the role of court cases also can be argued they advance African American civil rights better or more so than the quality of African American leadership, such as Plessy v. Ferguson, which did see them now considered equal but separate. On the Brown v. Board of Education, that desegregated schools, so now black students could integrate with white students and get the same quality education. Although this did open up the qualifications to, I really want to apologise for that, integration. You don't want to get those two words mixed up. Someone will probably twist my words in the future and make me look very racist. Integration, that's what I was supposed to say. Although this did open up the qualification for higher skilled or paid roles, both these court cases were only really in de jure, and examples like the Little Rock 1997 incident proved many minds of white Americans still hadn't changed enough for these policies to be enforced. So in conclusion then, to conclude, although government decisions did pass some reform, it was mostly just de jure, and particularly in the South, hard to implement. Therefore, the quality, methods, and effectiveness of African leadership sparked widespread sympathy and support, as many contributing factors did advance their civil rights, because simply, like with events like Montgomery bus boycott, it openly demonstrated the political to social system had to develop and couldn't continue. So here we are then. I hope this is in sync. Not exactly the same question that I put on there, but the mark scheme's the same, but it's how you say it's the type of question teachers can edit, and it's yeah, the point. At the end of the day, there's so many questions you can get and interpret and analyse at the A-level history level. This was about the federal state government, but again, it took all out those key words, the most important factors, 1865, 992, African Americans, pardon me, which you'll always get. So move on to the mark scheme. Here it is. The mark scheme for this question. Goodness me, they put a lot, to be fair, examiners, I'll have to hand it to them, they put a lot of effort in, don't they? Yes, here we are. So, first of all, I think it's really important to remember that, as we can see here, there's no set answer expected. At the end of the day, it's history. You can interpret it, you can analyse it how you want. It isn't just asking for dates. This is A-level university. University only gets even more and little. So there's no set answer expected. So remember, at the end of the day, when it comes to this question, remember, there's nothing you have to write. It's about your own interpretation of it. And at high levels, answers might establish criteria against which to judge the validity of the interpretation, and to be valid, judgment must be supported by relevant and accurate material. And knowledge must not be credited in isolation. So again, enforcement, what I said earlier, it's not just about knowing the dates and facts, you've got to analyse what you're saying. But if you don't do both, you can't get that many marks. So, but I think it's better just to analyse it. It's better to just analyse than get own knowledge, because the analysation bracket, AO1, AO2, whatever you call it, that's higher than the own knowledge bracket of marks. So as you can see here, answers might be, it might be argued in supporting the hypothesis statement that the government was crucial in development of civil rights. About the answers might consider roles of people, governments, like Little Rock incident, which you could also talk about in this. Of course, this is just going to counteract what I've written the question there. I know it's not the same question. I do apologise, I couldn't find the exact same question, but the copyright issues, past paper issues, you get the idea. Role of federal and state government, role of federal government 1960s, which you do talk about, Plessy v. Ferguson, Brown v. Board of Education. Role of presidents, all tend to talk about presidents though, could have looked about them, but yeah, presidents, Roosevelt, Truman, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon. That's Lyndon B. Johnson, by the way, not Andrew Johnson. To challenge hypothesis, talk about Jim Crow laws in 1978 and 77. So of course, black people can have the same social sex relationship with white people, or use the same public facilities as white people, or so it's social and sex relationships, same public facilities, and same voting rights as white people. So voting rights, public facilities, social and sex relationships. Negative attitude of federal government, Alabama, called South, Deep South, that's where most segregation is happening. Attitude of Andrew Lyndon B. Johnson, see what I just on there. Grant Wilson was negative. Actions of individual African Americans, which we talk about, like Du Bois, Garvey, Randolph, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all discussed in our paragraph. This is good for my marks at the moment, if I were to mark this. The role of African American pressure groups such as the NAACP, National Advancement of Coloured People, and Black Panthers, National Association of the Advancement of Coloured People. I'll say that slower this time. And you can also have the impacts of the civil rights groups, anti-civil rights groups, that is, such as the KKK, far-right group, which influenced public opinion and actions such as lynching. So as you can see, the mark scheme is very open. It's clear what it wants. It's quite short and snappy, but it makes clear that it's all about no set answer expected. You consider a broad range of ideas. You interpret and analyse them a lot and have small pockets of own noise to really justify what you're saying, but not just in isolation.